We all remember the friendly, helpful, and funny girl in the blue shirt who sold us phones and data plans for years. Lily Adams from the AT&T commercials became one of the most famous faces on television almost overnight. She was everywhere, and it seemed like everyone loved her bubbly personality and her quick wit. She was the perfect girl next door, and her commercials were actually things people looked forward to seeing during commercial breaks. But then, things started to change. People began to notice that the commercials looked different, or that Lily wasn't appearing as often as she used to. The story of Milana Vayntrub, the talented actress who brought Lily to life, is much more intense and surprising than anyone ever imagined. From her secret past as a refugee to the dark side of internet fame that forced her to change her life, her journey will truly leave you gasping. Make sure you stay with us until the very end of this video, because the truth about where she is now and the incredible work she is doing behind the scenes is something you won't believe. You might think you know Lily, but you don't know the woman behind the desk. To truly understand the woman we know as Lily, we first have to go back to a time long before she ever stepped foot on a commercial set. Milana Vayntrub was not born into a life of luxury or Hollywood fame. In fact, her story begins in the Soviet Union, in a place called Uzbekistan. When she was just 2 years old, her family had to make a heartbreaking and terrifying decision. They were facing religious persecution, and they knew that if they stayed, their future would be very dark. They fled their home with almost nothing, becoming refugees. For a long time, they lived in different countries, waiting and hoping for a chance to start over. Eventually, they were granted permission to come to America. They settled in California with very little money and a lot of dreams. This background is a huge part of who Milana is today. It gave her a perspective on life that most people in Hollywood never experience. She knew what it was like to be an outsider and to have to work for every single thing she had. This strength and resilience is what helped her survive the ups and downs of the acting world later in life. When she was still a little girl, Milana started acting in commercials. It wasn't just because she loved the spotlight. It was also a way to help her family make ends meet. She was a natural in front of the camera, and her charm was obvious even at a young age. As she grew up, she continued to pursue her passion for comedy and acting. She joined famous improv groups and started creating her own content online. She was a pioneer in the early days of YouTube, making funny videos that showed off her unique sense of humor. But despite her talent, she was still a struggling actress looking for her big break. That break finally came in 2013 when she was cast as Lily Adams for AT&T. At first, it was just supposed to be a regular commercial gig. But something special happened when Milana put on that blue button-down shirt. She didn't just read the lines, she made the character of Lily feel like a real person. She was funny, she was smart, and she had a way of making people feel comfortable. The commercials became a massive hit. People started talking about the AT&T girl on social media, and she became a viral sensation. For a while, it seemed like Milana was on top of the world. She had a steady job, she was famous, and everyone loved her. But as her fame grew, so did a very dark and modern problem. The more popular Lily became, the more she became the target of intense online harassment. This is the part of the story that often leaves people speechless. Because she was on TV every day, millions of people felt like they knew her, but some people took that way too far. She started receiving thousands of inappropriate comments every day. People began to focus more on her body and her physical appearance than her acting or her comedy. It wasn't just harmless teasing. It was aggressive, sexual, and scary. For a woman who had worked so hard to be taken seriously as a comedian and an actress, this was a nightmare. She felt like she was being reduced to an object, and the internet was making it impossible for her to feel safe. Many fans noticed that in later commercials, the way Lily was filmed started to change. This is a detail that caused a lot of speculation online. You might remember that in the newer ads, Lily was almost always sitting behind a desk, or she had her body partially covered by props. There was a very specific and sad reason for this. Milana herself had to ask the directors to change how they filmed her. She felt so uncomfortable with the way people were talking about her body online that she didn't want to show it anymore. She wanted to do her job without being harassed. This was a gasp moment for many people who realized that even someone as successful and beloved as her was being bullied by people on the internet to the point where she had to hide behind a desk. It was a wake-up call about the toxic side of social media and how we treat women in the spotlight. Despite the pain and the stress of the harassment, Milana Vayntrub proved that she is a fighter. She didn't just sit back and let the trolls win. She used her platform to speak out. She went live on social media and told her followers exactly how she felt. She told them that the comments were hurtful and that she was a real person with real feelings. This was a brave move, as many celebrities are told to just ignore the trolls. But Milana wanted to stand up for herself and for other women who faced the same thing. She became an advocate for kindness and respect online, reminding everyone that there is a human being on the other side of the screen. But Milana's story doesn't end with her fighting internet trolls. While she was dealing with her own struggles, she never forgot her roots as a refugee. She knew that there were millions of people around the world who were going through exactly what her family went through when she was a child. In 2016, she went on a vacation to Greece, but when she saw the massive number of refugees arriving there from Syria, she couldn't just sit on a beach. She decided to help. She started a movement called Can't Do Nothing. The idea was simple. Even if you can't solve the whole world's problems, you can't just do nothing. You have to do something. She spent her own money and her own time traveling to the borders, meeting with families and helping them find safety and resources. She filmed a documentary to show the world what was really happening. This showed a completely different side of Lily. She wasn't just a girl in a commercial. She was a woman with a massive heart and a mission to change the world. She used her fame to bring attention to people who were being ignored. This activism became a huge part of her life, and it's something she continues to work on today. It's one of the reasons why her journey is so much more inspiring than most people realize. So, how did she end up? Some people thought she might have quit acting because of the harassment, but that couldn't be further from the truth. Milana is more successful now than she has ever been, but she is doing things on her own terms. One of the most surprising updates is that she has moved behind the camera. She discovered that she has a brilliant talent for directing. She has directed many commercials herself, including several of the AT&T ads she starred in. This was a huge power move. She went from being a girl who was told where to stand to being the person in charge of the whole production. She proved that she is a leader and a creative force in the industry. In addition to directing, she has continued to act in movies and television shows. She has shown her range as an actress by taking on serious roles as well as funny ones. One of her biggest roles was voicing a superhero for Marvel. She played Squirrel Girl in an animated series, and fans absolutely loved her in the role. She has also appeared in hit shows like This Is Us and Silicon Valley. She is a busy, working actress who has managed to build a career that is separate from her identity as Lily. She is proving that she is a versatile talent who can do anything she sets her mind to. Thank you so much for staying with us until the very end of this video. Milana's journey from a young refugee to the powerful woman she is today is truly a story that makes you think. It reminds us to be kind to everyone we see on our screens because they are real people with real lives and real struggles. If you enjoyed this update and were inspired by Milana's story, make sure you share this video with your friends. We have so many more stories about your favorite stars and where they are now, so make sure you keep an eye out for our next update. We appreciate your support and your time. Stay kind, stay positive, and we will see you in the next video.